This particular plane was built in 1944. At least the first piece of metal was laid, and that's when they dated the aircraft. The plane was delivered in February of '45 to the military. By the time this plane came out, the war was ending, so they ended up shipping it to Polk, Texas for storage. '46, it came out, became a TB B-25J, which is a trainer bomber version. And then in '52, it was taken over by Hayes and was converted to a TBN, which was a multi-engine trainer. It lost its bomber version and then just became a multi-engine trainer. And then from people that trained in this aircraft eventually ended up in jets and stuff like that. 1959, it was retired from the Air Force. It was the second to the last B-25 to be retired. It went from there to Avery Aviation, which is a firebombing outfit, which is based in Graybull, Wyoming. It's still in business. The airplane was converted to a firebomber, only flew a couple of times, and then they ended up not using them anymore. In '68 or '9, the Catch-22 came out, movie, and the aircraft was bought by the production company and was taken and used in the movie Catch-22. And ironically, it was the MM bird, which was painted all white, and so it was like the star plane of the airplane. They actually used 4 of them. But anyway, after Catch-22, Mike Pupich, the owner that owns it now, had bought the airplane and has kept it at Van Nuys ever since. I came on the crew almost 9 years ago, and that's when the interior restoration started. And it's just, I can't tell you how many hours you go into a book and you're going by pictures and block numbers and trying to find this part and that to make it original. The enjoyment of it is slowly watching it go back together. First you get one piece in, and you get another, and all of a sudden, you know, it's complete. I've been working on this plane on the average of 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, doing something. Not saying that I've been working sweatingly hard on it, but always something. If it's not looking at the blueprints at home, you know, it's a labor of love. Well, for me, I was able to be aboard of B-25 taking off a carrier. In one respect, you wonder how they do it, but the airplane is, you know, it can get off at 450 feet. You know, you get enough wind over the deck. And when we took this airplane off the carrier Ranger in '92, they had 32 knots of wind over the deck. They had a rudder authority before they were even moving the airplane. They were bouncing the nose wheel off the ground. So, I mean, it was like a kite going off the deck. So, but there again, we weren't loaded. We didn't have 4,000 pounds of bomb in bomb bay and stuff like that. And the Doolittle raid, I think it was the last airplane, it forgot to put the flaps down. And it still made it off the deck. In fact, it disappeared below the bow line and then came back up again. So it's what North American built. They built a rugged airplane and a lot of power for the, you know, for the time of what we got. And it did its job. I had one guy about 4.5 years ago come up to me and he said he was a pilot on B-25s, went over to Pacific in one, and he asked me if he could come up and sit in the left seat. And I told him, I said, yeah, no problem, I'll be my guest. So I got him in the left seat and I was in the right, and we were kind of glancing over the crowds, and the subject matter just kind of dropped off and I wasn't talking to him or anything, and I turned around and looked and there was tears rolling down this guy's eyes. And I looked over at him and I went, oh my God. I go, you okay? And he's going, yeah, I'm fine. You just don't understand. The smell, everything is just, I'm back. You know, and I go, well, can you tell me the story? And he goes, well, you might know. He goes, you know, you train with a crew of PF6 and you train in the States and you get to, you know, become good friends, you know. He says, we took off on our first bombing run and ended up getting jumped. And by the time I got home and got the plane landed, he said I was the only one left alive in the airplane. And it's just like my jaws were down to the floor. It's like, oh my God, what do I say to this guy? And he's crying, I mean, he's just in tears, crying. He comes out of the airplane and his 2 kids and his wife are there, and he's crying, and the kids and the wife are looking at what's going on, you know. He had never told any of his family, ever, that story, till he got inside this airplane. And that's the one, that's where it makes it worth it all. It's the little kids that get up in the airplane and just, you know, are amazed at what they see, and, you know, they play airplane a little bit and stuff like that. But it's the younger generation that we got to target in order to keep this stuff alive. Restoring an airplane and putting it into a museum and opening it off from the people where they just walk around it, it's a shame because they have no idea what it looks like inside. I can't tell you how many people today crawl in the airplane, look inside, come out and go, oh my God, how do they move around in this airplane in combat? It is so small. I mean, Hollywood makes it look like you got gobs of room. You know, it's a learning curve for them, and it's that one little spark that's going to keep that little kid, when he's my age, that's going to keep these airplanes still in the air.